This is Jake the Snake Roberts, and guess what? You're listening to another damn wrestling podcast.
It's time for another wrestling podcast.
The measuring stick just changed around here, buddy. You're looking at
the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be.
They think they got the answers. I change the question.
The cream of the crop. Nobody does it better.
These are the best in the world, brother. These are the best at what they do.
When we talk about the legends of the sport, there's only two in my book.
Another wrestling podcast.
All right. Welcome to another wrestling podcast. We're the Social Assassins. I'm Credo.
And I'm Angry Cooter, and we're just calling it how we see it, baby.
And welcome to episode 133. Joining us on this special show, we're going to have a WWE Hall of Famer, Jake the Snake Roberts, is going to be joining us in a little bit. Hopefully, he leaves the snake at home. But guys, if you're listening to this, he is going to be at Laugh It Up Comedy Club this Sunday at 5 p.m. Make sure you head on over to laughitup.net, pick up your tickets, tell them AWP sent you. We're going to be there. It's going to be a great time. It's comedy, it's road stories, and it's Jake the Snake Roberts. You can't go wrong.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to Jake because Jake has done lots of interviews on podcasts, and he always tells great, funny road stories. So, I mean, I look forward to that kind of material as much as I do stand-up comedy. So, really looking forward to it.
Definitely. Now, let's get to the elephant in the room, if you will. There's a new president-elect who is also a WWE Hall of Famer. I don't think I would never have dreamed of those words all coming out of my mouth at the same time. President-elect Donald Trump is going to be the new president, the 45th president of the United States, Cooter.
Hey, listen, Forbes has just said that WWE stock went up 5% today after he was elected.
Wow.
Hey, look at the bright side. This kind of mirrors the whole Yes movement. Don't you get that?
Well, you mean with no? Or no? Is that how we're going to mirror it?
No, you think of it this way, like your country basically revolted against the government that it failed them, and the media that condemned the underdog. The fans revolted against the authority who crammed Drax the Destroyer down our throat, and
I think
there's claim that DB was the B+ player, you know?
I think there's at least a 50% margin who think they were still just watching a reality show and have no idea that it was up for the presidency of the United States. So until they find that out, I think it's still new to them. So, hey, big things are happening now, Cooter. We're going to have a new president soon, but also a lot of elections went on this weekend. Rhino, he actually lost. He lost this week. Is that a big deal for him?
I don't know. I think he's going to make more money in the ring. I mean, yeah, he's a tag team champion. He's got a solid spot on Smackdown with the very over Heath Slater. I don't really see this as a problem for him.
I think he was looking for a plan B, a way out of wrestling to just get into politics. I guess not too many people wanted a wrestler as a politician. They only wanted a WWE Hall of Famer as a president. So it's crazy. I mean, could wrestlers make great politicians? I mean, they got the promo skills.
This is true. I mean, look at somebody like Jesse Ventura, who was the governor of Minnesota. I mean, that's a classic example of somebody who got a whole crowd of people behind him as an independent and still won governor.
That's right. Yeah. Well, I wonder who would be the next wrestler turned whatever in the political realm. That'll be interesting to see what happens.
I think Jerry Lawler did run for mayor of Memphis, didn't he?
I'm not going to Google it, but
a lot of people have tried, but a lot have failed. So I mean, keep trying. You know, maybe Bob Backlund will run again.
There you go. Hey, you know, because of Trump today, I think what better topic than making wrestling great again. We'll probably delve into that, and that's another reason to listen to another wrestling podcast every week. We like to pick a nice little evergreen topic week, something you can listen to, whether it's today, tomorrow, next week, or 2 months from now. It's always going to be a good topic to listen to, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we got to keep it topical. We don't just want to be another recap show. We're another wrestling podcast, just not another recap show.
That's right. But, there's still a lot of stuff that happened in the week of pro wrestling. There's too much going on, so let's just get right into it and let the world know what was happening in the week that was. First and foremost, we've talked about James Ellsworth to death. He's still around. They just gave him entrance music and a freaking video package to come out to now. And it's like, oh my, it's really not going away. It's really here. Regardless, okay, so you have that element of the outsider coming in, right? To where James Ellsworth did nothing for NXT, did nothing to work his way up, and he's been showcased on the main event show for weeks now. You know what I mean? So, okay, that could be a problem. Without getting too much into it, the newest member on Team Smackdown is Shane McMahon.
Ugh.
But does Shane McMahon even need to be involved with this anymore? Need to be wrestling? Or are they just trying to use him to just trying to, I don't know, just to draw more or what? I have no idea.
Yes, I mean, here's the thing that I am going to be enjoying about the Big Four. It seems that we're going to have matches from both brands. You're going to have a couple of special attractions, something to draw the viewers. And I think it's exactly what it is. It's just to draw some viewers. I don't think Shane is the kind of guy who can draw on the Big Four on a consistent basis.
They are considering having Brock Lesnar versus Shane McMahon at WrestleMania. I shit you not.
Why?
Take it with a grain of salt. This is the word going around the dirt sheets, but sometimes, they're right. So I want to get it out there. Why, oh why would you even have this match? Like, this is what I'm talking about, to where guys like James Ellsworth, Shane McMahon, don't get me wrong, he was great in his time, but do we need to have him come up to, like, take away a spot from somebody who's, like, in their prime to do this? Why are we having these kind of matches when you have perfectly healthy guys on the roster?
I wasn't a very good high school guy, but let me do some math real quick. Let me see. Undertaker destroys Shane McMahon in Hell in a Cell. Brock Lesnar destroys Undertaker and takes the streak. So, by theory, Brock Lesnar should rip Shane's head off of his body, skullfuck his neck, and bury him 12 feet under the ground.
That's, I think, the most mathematical way I think you could come about it, pretty much.
Mathematics, baby.
Well, I mean, like, that's the thing. I don't know. It's just, from part-timers to these guys that just, they're like, ooh, we're gonna pluck him from the indie scene just to see what happens. As a wrestler, I really got to ask this, to where, do you feel insulted? Because, I mean, you personally, as a wrestler, were told, okay, we're going to sign you, buddy, but you got to go through NXT for a few years, and then when you're ready, we'll bring you up on Raw. And I mean, like, when you have guys like when Finn Balor came in, big name, they stuck him down in NXT. Why, like, you want to make a surprise? Put him on the main roster right away. Don't put, like, you're putting in James Ellsworth, and you're not, like, you're sticking guys like Samoa Joe on NXT. You're more
pissed off at James Ellsworth than you are Trump winning the presidential election.
Oh my God, if that was his running mate.
Get over it, man. I mean, it's the people like him. Again, let him have his 15 and a half minutes. Again, he will go away eventually. Once the dynamite blows and the AJ Styles and Dean Ambrose story is over with, then they'll move on to something else. I mean, like I said weeks prior, he's just there to enhance Ambrose and AJ Styles, and it's working very well. I don't really have a problem with the part-timers, because the good thing about the network is we don't have time constraints like we did for pay-per-view. So when we have a Brock Lesnar versus a Goldberg, all right, so maybe it'll be like a 5-hour pay-per-view. It's just an extra added match, which is something you thought you probably wouldn't see on top of what's shaping up to be a pretty decent card.
Last week we talked about 205 Live, that now they have to have an hour show after SmackDown because they don't know how to book them on Raw. But now the Cruiserweight stipulation for Survivor Series could see the division move if Kalisto wins off Brian Kendrick. So if Kalisto wins, that means the Cruiserweight Championship will go to SmackDown, and so will the whole division. Is this just like writing on the wall to, like, crap, it sucks on Raw, we'll just put it on SmackDown? But now it's like you're taking it from a 3-hour show, putting it to a 2-hour show. Is it just I don't know, make more sense to where that could lead into their 205 Live? I don't know.
it makes sense if we're giving these cruiserweights a whole hour for them to be, featured briefly on SmackDown and then have their own separate show. Mm-hmm. It could work. It might work better than it's working now because, again, the problem has been we have not had rivalries outside of the title picture, and you've said it a million times. It's the same thing that the Divas were going through. We don't want to be repetitive as we talk about this. So I like the fact that they're trying something different to try to get this product over because this is new. It started off very, very fresh. People really loved it with the CWC, and it just since that special has fallen a little bit flat. So I think this is a great way to develop some talent, some characters, see who could carry the torch for the division to come.
Definitely. We'll see what happens. Moving right along from a little quick interview from TMZ, Brooke Hogan mentioned that Hulk Hogan, is in talks for a possible WrestleMania 33 return, Cooter.
Come on. Does anybody really give a shit? Yeah, really. Does anybody really give a shit what Brooke Hogan has to say about anything?
It's like, quick, it's Brooke Hogan.
Really?
Well, no, what's funny thing is, like, what do you ask Brooke Hogan if you see her? How's your dad? Like, you have nothing else to ask her except for
exactly. It's how come your dad has the same color hair but a bigger forehead than you? You look the same.
Brooke, like father, like daughter? I don't know.
Yeah, right. All she has is the not receding hairline and without the goatee, and it's Hulk. It really is. It's like, imagine Brooke Hogan is Thunder Lips without the mustache.
Thunder Lips. He broke Gawker. He gave him a big leg drop. He has millions of dollars now. I don't know the exact number. I don't care, but he has millions of dollars. He's set once again for life.
Vince must have known that Trump was going to win because now that Trump is president, the PC era is officially over. So therefore, Hogan is free to say whatever he wants, apparently, and stay on WWE television. All right,
that's it. Sex tapes and everything, man. Everything's released in this reality era. It's great. I mean, Hulk Hogan is the backbone. He is that icon of pro wrestling. I mean, if you ask anybody who's even not a fan, name one pro wrestler, you're going to say Hulk Hogan. So he is that face of the company. I guess now that the dirt is clear, if you will, they'll bring him back just to use him for his name. How will they use him? I have no idea. It's good to see Hulk Hogan do something, but we'll see what happens. It's probably going to be the same old, same old. Maybe they could do something more creative.
Let's hope so. Yeah. Let's talk something that's really making me happy.
Sure.
Last but not least, for the week that was, HBK has been named the new head of the WWE Performance Center. What are your thoughts on this, Credo?
Yeah, anything. I mean, Shawn Michaels teaching the future, superstars of tomorrow is great because, like, a lot of these guys down there, and no offense to, like A-Train down there or whatnot, he's a great trainer, but having, like, Shawn Michaels is one of those living legends. You know what I mean?
Yes.
He's done it all. He knows how to work the crowd. He knows what's hot. He knows the business. You know what I mean? And having these kids work under Shawn Michaels, I can't wait to see what's ahead with NXT, especially, what kind of guys he'll help, produce,
Absolutely. I mean, he's, to me, probably the best who has ever done it, in my opinion. Just the total package. I mean, there are guys who may have been more popular.
Like Bret Hart. I mean, of course, right? You want to bring up Bret Hart, right? Because you'd have been
Listen. Don't talk to me about a bitter old man with gray hair. Hey, let's not.
Bite your tongue. If Bret Hart was the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be.
And that's why he doesn't have a job. Anyway, yeah. So I mean,
yeah, man.
But you know what? It's interesting you say that. But Bret is a great technician, but Shawn could do everything,
the whole package, yeah,
that Bret could not do. I mean, Bret did not really learn how to talk on a microphone until like the very end of his career, the Attitude Era days, and the short stint in WCW. So I mean, who better to learn from? Nobody.
It's great. Definitely. I mean,
the only thing that Flair could teach you is how to get drunk and flash people in your robe.
Nobody can compare to having Shawn Michaels down there. You know what I mean?
No,
You could be a wrestler and teach people stuff, but this guy was one of the greatest of all time, and he's going to teach you. You know what I mean? So that's like a major plus, especially for anybody down there right now in the Performance Center. So
yeah, I mean, if not Shawn Michaels, I could seriously see, honestly, anybody from the Clique, a Triple H, Sean Waltman, Scott Hall to a certain extent, just because the way he worked for his size. And Kevin Nash, a lot of people hate on Kevin Nash and saying he's a very limited in the ring, but what Kevin Nash was very good at was ring psychology. So, I mean, anybody from the Clique, but as a total package, got to go HBK or Triple H, man.
Having Shawn Michaels there, I think that's really awesome. I heard that he's going to move the whole family to Florida, so it's going to be a gig. All right, so you heard a little bit of the week that was, some of the biggest headlines of the week in pro wrestling. But ever since the brand split, Cooter, there's been so much happening on Raw, so much happening on SmackDown, and it's like I don't want to give recaps of it. So once again, I want to kind of get into a Raw versus SmackDown segment. I'll do Raw, maybe you do SmackDown. We can switch it up every so often, but maybe just some of the points of what you think, what's going on with the show. Is it good? Is it bad? What can they work on? Or just maybe just a few points about each show, each week. How about that? That sounds cool, right?
Yeah, let's see how this works out. You want to kick it off with Raw?
You've seen it. We're not going to do a rundown of every freaking match. So let me just bring up a few points of Raw that I've noticed. Okay, I'll tell you what. I used to complain so much about Los Matadores. And I loved the Colognes. I loved them as a team. I loved them when they had Rosa Mendez. And it was like, okay, it's great. Why do you need to change them? They have that history of their father. They have their name, the Colognes. And we got rid of them. We changed them to Los Matadores. They looked like freaking human Ninja Turtles. And I'm like... So you're telling me these guys are from Puerto Rico, but now all of a sudden they're Mexican or matadors or whatever and I'm like, stop insulting our intelligence. And they almost started getting into like that 90s era where you had like Duke the Dumpster and whatever. Now you have matadors, and I'm like, stop. Okay, so they broke away with that. Now they're the Shining Stars. They're still using their names, the Colognes, but I think which they should have. They didn't really need to give them another name. But on top of this, okay. You have these guys who their dad's a legendary wrestler, right? We're going to give them a name, the Shining Stars. Okay, it kind of sucks, but I would have just gone with the Colognes. But, okay. And now you're going to repackage them again, and you're going to tell them, like, hey, they're walking out with, like, timeshares, and, like, stop. Stop. Like, no, like, stop. Stop with the stupid timeshares. They can come out as the Shining Stars for all as I care. They can come out, as their names, but walking out with pamphlets for like timeshares, like that's the stupidest gimmick ever. I don't care who's backstage saying, "Oh, this is a great idea." No, you look like an idiot bringing these stupid things out. Stupid timeshares. Anyway, so the Shining Stars.
Why does everything have to be comedy? I don't understand it.
It doesn't, and that's the thing. It's like I could understand if they did a little funny segment in the back with like, "Oh, hey, you want a timeshare?" and that's it. But they're literally bringing each out like 10 pamphlets for these stupid timeshares on each episode, and I'm like, this isn't a gimmick. Like, this is come out with your little Cabana shirts or whatever, but stop with the stupid timeshare stuff. It's a negative right now on Raw. And don't get me wrong. They are so much better like this than they were as Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but it's just another thing they need to work on. Another point, though, happening on Raw, Sami Zayn will now face Dolph Ziggler for the Intercontinental Championship at Survivor Series, which is great because, man, he's been falling so far behind on anything and everything they've given him. And for him now to face Ziggler, I think is great. I think it's awesome. But if he wins, that means the IC belt goes to Raw, and now Raw has the US, the IC Championship, the Raw Tag Team Championship, the Raw Women's Champ. It's like everybody, it's like Oprah, you get a title, everybody gets a title. But then SmackDown doesn't have a title, so I'm thinking if the IC Championship is going to Raw, the Cruiserweight is going to SmackDown. And yeah, that's your little switch up right there for Survivor Series. I think prediction Called it, right? All these fucking marks out there are saying called it. I'm going to call it. Calling it. Just because everybody's calling it. Because they got to be the first one to say it. So I think that's what's going to happen. I hope Sami Zayn gets it. Because like I said, these championships are gimmicks to get guys over. And I really think he needs that IC championship. It fits his character. And I think it'll be good for him in the long run. Because now we have something to build with him. And, build him as the longest reigning or whatever. I don't care. Just, he needs it. He has nothing right now. So throw the man a bone. And last but not least, Strowman, man. Strowman went from the Wyatts to, his own solo career. He's a big guy, and it's you don't have too many of these guys around, and it's good. I think Strowman is actually breaking out into his own, and he's going to be used for the long run. Putting him in there with main eventers, Rollins, Jericho, all these guys on Team Raw is going to be great, and I think he definitely has a lot of potential and a lot more to show us. So, at the end of the day, though, Raw, it's still not doing it for me, man. It's still like the B show now. It's become the B show to me.
Well, that's why I'm glad I get Smackdown, the A show. Just a couple of points. I got mixed feelings on Smackdown as a whole. There's some good and bad, obviously. The bad for me is Baron Corbin basically being downgraded from being in the 5-man Survivor Series match to a mid-card with Kalisto where he gets injured and he gets removed from this match. That was something that I thought was really cool because you have kind of like, I don't want to say rookie, but somebody who's a little bit newer, a little bit fresher. Like Raw has Braun Strowman, and now you have Baron Corbin on SmackDown. They're like the two young guys, the expendable ones, the ones who are going to go first. And Corbin is now gone, and now we have nothing else for him. A high for me, though, is my future wife, Alexa Bliss, having a great showing in Glasgow, Scotland, for the goddamn women's title. What a good match. Those two women really gave us a hell of a show. And, the whole way that it ended with the foot on the rope, she's going to be in the title picture for some time now. I mean, this sky's the limit for this girl if she can keep up the good work. Couldn't agree with you more, Dolph and Sami Zayn. But good thing about Dolph Ziggler is he is the fighting champion. I like the way he's being booked because not only does he have Zayn at Survivor Series on the 900th episode of Raw, he is defending the title against The Miz. I love the fact that we're getting 2 title matches in 1 week from the champion. Take that, John Cena. You only defended your U.S. title once a week. And the problem that I have with these teams, the men's teams and the women's teams, is both Raw and SmackDown teams, they're all dysfunctional. They all can't get along. Both shows are being booked exactly the same. The infighting between the men's team with Jericho and Owens against Rollins, who can't trust Roman Reigns, and so on and so forth. And now we have, on the SmackDown side, the Wyatts with Randy Orton and Bray, basically going against AJ Styles and Dean Ambrose. None of these guys can get along. So we have to put Shane McMahon in to kind of balance everything out. How does that make sense? Nobody's getting along. I would think that the whole point of having these matches is to have brand superiority, and all we have is setups for future storylines. Yeah. Even on the women's side, both women's titles are being involved in rivalries within the teams, and it just sucks. It's like, all right, this is supposed to be about winning for your brand and getting 5 new superstars over to your respective brand, and it has nothing to do with anything. It just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I think the only thing going on, and this is aside from the SmackDown thing, but as a whole, which we'll talk about when it gets closer to the Survivor Series, is that we have Team Raw versus Team SmackDown. And then we have Team Raw versus Team SmackDown Women's Division. And then Team Raw versus Team SmackDown Tag Team Division.
Even those teams can't get along.
I would have really loved for them to have one Raw versus SmackDown team, whatever. And then every other team, man, come on. Make the Samoans. Have Roman Reigns, Nia Jax, and the Usos versus, another team. Just like, I want to see a team where it was like back in the 80s, like the Hulkamaniacs or the Ultimate Warriors, something like just make a team name. And not every Survivor Series match has to be Raw versus SmackDown. It could be Raw versus SmackDown, but, be creative. That's your job, creative, right? Just add a little creative to it and have, like I said, the Samoans. How cool is that? You have, Nia Jax, whatever. But regardless, we'll talk about that when it gets to
I gotta,
ranting about it now.
I'm going to elaborate on that point, though. I mean, especially for the men's match, if we're going to do a 5-on-5, why don't we do something really cool? Why don't we bring back War Games, WCW style? If that's going to be the end all, the be all to determine who's going to win, the superiority of the night, let's put it up for some high stakes because one brand's going to win the women's and then the other brand is going to win the tag and the men are going to determine who wins. Yep. Otherwise, there's no point to having that third one for superiority. They're going to make their 5 picks before the main event. No, so let's make that last match really something. Or even if we took, 3 guys from each brand, the top 3 guys, and threw them in an elimination chamber. Make it high stakes. If with some balls behind it.
All right, well, maybe we could do that every week, a little Raw versus SmackDown, and see what happens every week. This way, it's more than just a rundown of every show. We'll kind of give our 2 cents on maybe some of the best or worst points of each week, and we'll talk about it. But right now, guys, before you see him live this Sunday in Poughkeepsie at Laugh It Up Comedy Club, make sure you head on over to laughitup.net for tickets. Please welcome WWE Hall of Famer Jake the Snake Roberts. All right, joining us again on another wrestling podcast is a legend of the ring as well as a legend on the mic. He is bringing his unspoken comedy tour to Poughkeepsie, New York at Laugh It Up Comedy Club on November 13th. Please welcome back Jake the Snake Roberts. Jake, man, how's it going?
Oh, it's going great, man. Living out here in Vegas, loving every minute of it.
Most of the fans out there know you for your DDTs, but not so much comedy. Mm-hmm. So what can the fans expect on November 13th from you?
I expect the unexpected. When this all started out, it was just fun, man, and it's really taken off, and it's much more than fun now, man. It's taken on a kind of a picture of its own self, man, and just kind of going out there with it, because, in the beginning, man, I was never going to do this, and I went and seen Foley's show, and I sat there and I watched it, and I'm like, I know I'm a lot funnier than that. And I had some friends with me, and like, dude, man, you can completely blow it out of the water. And I'm like, yeah, I kind of agree with that, too, because I had so much more material to work with than Mick. I mean, yeah, he's got a sock he can talk about, but really, how far can you take that? And, I've got a python or a cobra to talk about, so... I kind of got him there, and just for a number of years, I've been out there, out there a long time, man. But it's a blast doing this stuff. I'm talking about hilariously funny stuff, and I have to make sure the statute of limitations are up before I tell them. But I can always check, and to sit there and share it with the people and kind of relive it. Man, it's just a great feeling, man. At the end of the night, folks are just, you can tell they're worn out, but they're really happy, tired.
Definitely.
And I just enjoy it, man, because I'm getting the chance to bump elbows with the fans again, man, and I really do appreciate the fans, man, much more so than I did back in the day, because, back in the day I had a lot going on, man. And, didn't care much about anything other than taking care of my needs. That was it. And, these days I'm able to go out there and, crazier things have happened out of nowhere. I mean, here I am sitting in a bar and not drinking, so there you go. That's an awesome feeling, man, and not to have any issues come up with that. I've been clean sober now 5 years, and
congrats, yeah.
It's been 3.5 since I've screwed up, and if you mess up, what you do, man, is you get back up and keep going, man, because quitters never win, man. And winners never quit. So
there you go.
You just got to keep pedaling, man. And it's been documented pretty heavily that Scott had a rough time here lately, and I've talked to him, man, and he's going to get right back on it. But, life isn't easy, and these are real issues that we deal with, and I just want the best for everybody. When I do one of these shows, I always throw it out there. Hey, if there's anybody out there in the crowd that's having problems with alcohol or drugs, or for that matter, weight loss too now, because I got Alex with me. Alex Ansel travels with me. He's my opener, and he's a real funny guy, man. He's a real comedian. Me, I'm just out there telling road stories and bouncing back and forth on that. But this guy's an actual comedian, and he throws it out there to help people too. Because we met just a few months ago, and when I first met him, I thought, man, this guy's hilariously funny, but he's not going to be alive long, because he was 550 pounds, man, and I just asked him, I said, what's going on, man? He's like, just can't get it done, I just don't understand. I'm like, okay, well, hey, let's hook up, and you come stay 10 days in Vegas with me, and we'll talk. So he came out, and we talked about the situation, what he was going through, what I'd been through. He'd seen the movie, and he said he wanted to do it, and he'd go all out for it. And I said, well, if you go all out for it, you can move to Vegas and travel with me on the road and make a little money and just stay on top of the problem, because I'm getting a lot out of it. Him losing, I get a lot out of it, man, because I'll tell you something. If you want to feel good, go out and help somebody.
Definitely,
And if you help somebody, it's amazing the feeling that you get. So I'm out there, man, I'm pushing all the buttons, and let's all go, and like I was telling you earlier, man, if there's somebody in the crowd that's got a problem, give me a signal. Let me know that you're interested in talking. And after the show, we'll find a quiet place, and we'll sit down and see if we can get them pointed in the right direction.
Yeah.
And what an awesome feeling that is, man, to get a letter or get a note from somebody or an email or whatever saying, hey, dude, I'm still clean. It's been 6 days now,
Yeah.
And 6 days don't sound like a lot to people, man, but it is a lot, man, whenever you're that guy.
Sure. Yeah.
I know from experience. So, like I said, I'm having a blast, man. Normally my daughter travels with me, but right now she's not going to travel with me on this tour coming up. She's got some things she's got to do, and I'm just all about having fun, man. And I got some hilarious stories, whether it's about Andre or Rick Rude or Macho Man or Hacksaw or Undertaker or whoever. This stuff is insane, man. It really is, I mean, you can imagine what the guys could get into. So,
oh, sure, yeah. And you mentioned
it's all there.
Yeah, you mentioned the road stories too. As any wrestler knows, the road comes with the job. Is there any way to sum up the life on the road as a pro wrestler?
Oh my God, man, it was rough.
Yeah.
Back in those days, it was rough. We were flying every day and driving every day. Oh my God, and we were going on long tours, and I did 91 days with Steamboat, but it nearly killed me.
Yeah.
And you just get so mentally and physically beat up, and it's impossible to get out of the ring at 10:30 and shower, get something to eat, go back to the hotel, and go to bed.
Yeah.
Really, that ain't happening.
Yeah.
You're so wound up with energy and everything, man, and that's what happens, man. You find something else to do, and then unfortunately, when you're an alcoholic or an addict, man, once we start, we don't stop. You know, we just keep going. You know?
Sure.
So there were a lot of sleepless nights, man. You know, it was tough. It was real tough. You know, and for me, it was even worse because I got a 100-pound snake to drag around with me. You know, and it's going to every hotel room, and people wonder why I hate snakes. Well, let me ask you: have you ever spent the night with a damn snake in your bathroom, and it's 3 a.m, and you really got to go? But the snake's just staring at me, you know. He's staring at the wrong bits and pieces here. Come on, give me a break, snake. I mean, that's when I learned how to pee in a bottle, you know, and a beer bottle. But then again, let's just be honest and say that's when I learned how to pee in the floor because I missed the bottle, and that was it. It was done. So, you know, we had to deal with that, and you know, God help you if you got to use the other part of the bathroom and sit down for a bit because it's hard to concentrate, man, when there's a 100-pound snake wrapped around the base of the toilet coming up between your legs. Or,
man, couldn't imagine.
I kind of felt that's when I kind of felt bad for the guys I used to throw it over the top of the toilet on, you know, and that used to be so much fun to do, though.
Sure.
You know, just toss it right over there, you know. And I remember back in the day, man, I went to Cleveland, and we were out there, and we were doing a show that night, but the Cavaliers were working out in the afternoon, and this is back when Mark Dowry was playing, and Mark Price, and those guys, Brad Dowry, and they were all playing, and I was kind of misbehaving. I'd been outside having an herbal remedy fix, and kind of just walking around there, you know, buzzing, and this guy comes up to me, he says, yeah, I'm the equipment manager here. He says, let me ask you a question. Do you have that snake with you? I'm like, man, what kind of guy would I be if I went somewhere without my snake? You know, I just can't do that. You know, trying to get a few ha-has out of him, and I was successful. And he says, well, let me ask you a question. He said, what would it cost me to get you to, once those guys all get in the shower, throw the snake in the shower with them?
Oh, man.
And I'm like, it will cost you nothing. I will do it for the joy of doing it.
Yep.
He's like, well, why don't I give you some shoes, you know? I'm like, okay, fine, whatever. I had no idea he was going to give me those NBA, you know, real deal shoes, man, $300 a pop, you know? And
yeah.
He gave me like 8 pairs. Well, you know, that's a great thing, except when you wear a size 14 like me, 8 pairs takes up a lot of room. I wound up giving away 2 or 3 pair and then shipped the rest home, man. But, man, I cannot believe to give you the visual picture. Just try to get it in your mind and then multiply that times 10 about how bad that trip was in that shower for that snake. Because these guys are all in there talking their trash, and, man, I opened that bag and I shot it in there. Of course, you know, the shower is a slick butt concrete, and it's wet. So the snake just slid, you know, and I guess I jumped it a little bit too hard. And it slid and kind of hit the wall pretty hard.
Oh, no.
I'm like, oh my God, he's gonna be mad. He's gonna be mad now, man. Go get a soap for him because they're all soaked up and stuff. Oh my God, what's the matter? He'll bite the hell out of you, dude. And they're all trying to get the hell out of there, and it was hilarious, man. It was a blast. So I've had some good days with the snake, but I've had a lot of bad days with them too. That's why I can't stand them. I never have likes.
Sure. Now, with this upcoming tour, you know, you tell a lot of stories on the road. I remember a story that you told on Roddy's podcast about a revenge rib you played on the British Bulldogs. But, you know, But what I'm getting to is that, you know, we lost Roddy Piper last year. Did you ever have any fun stories that come to mind, maybe involving him?
You know, back in the days before we ever got the WWF, I was messing around. I was in Charlotte. I would say dating, but I never took the girl out for a date. We just got together every now and then. Mm-hmm. Anyway, she had like a 4-foot, you know, little wussy snake. You know, nothing serious. And I was messing around with it, and I took it into the TV station where we were filming our interviews. And I can't remember, I think it was Bob Orton. Bob Orton says, Roddy loves snakes, man. Let him check it out, man. He really digs them. I'm like, good. He can keep this damn thing. I can't stand some bitches, right? So I walk over to Roddy, and I tap him on the back. Well, he turns around, bro. That snake's right there in his face. Man, he went nuts, man. He dove for his briefcase, gets the briefcase open. Next thing I know, I'm going to freaking pistol in my face.
Oh, no.
And this guy's shaking, and he's about to start crying. He's so upset, man. I'm like, what the hell? I turn and look at Orton. He's like, yeah, maybe I was wrong on that, Thanks, Bobby. That's a wrestler's sense of humor right there, though. So, we got Roddy calmed down. I got the hell out of there, and then I went and cleaned my pants out because, man, I scared the hell out of me when I was like, I didn't get shot.
Sure.
But no, man, I tell you, the thing with Roddy was, man, that right before he died, I was having a birthday, happy 60th or whatever, and my daughter reached out to him and asked him to film a little clip, and she was going to put all these clips from different guys together and give them to me for her birthday, and I had no idea, it was coming, and she got quite a few of them. I mean, several of the guys come through for her, and Roddy was one of them. This was like 4 or 5 days before he passed, and he was standing out on the deck at his home, and he's looking off into the clouds, and he's like, can you see that, Jake? I'm like, what's he talking about? Can you see him, man? He's out there, man. He's out there waiting on us, man. He goes, you're there so much alike, Jake. We're going through the same stuff, blah, blah, blah. He's like, but man, just that light glowing. I'm like, oh my God, what's he talking about?
Yeah.
And then, a few days later, boom, he's gone, man.
Yeah, it's crazy. Wow.
It was horrible, man.
Mm-hmm. Now, just to bring up too, you've gotten to know a lot of wrestlers behind the scenes. In your opinion, was there somebody maybe behind the scenes that you thought was probably one of the funniest guys out there, or that maybe us as fans didn't really get to know that he was that funny?
Gosh, let me think about it. That's such a good question, man. I'm sure there's lots of guys that, just from the way they behave and the things, the little nuances,
Mm-hmm.
Oh, gosh, let me think about that. I'll tell you probably the best was, oh, gosh darn it, Mr. Perfect.
Yeah.
He was pretty, he was pretty funny.
Definitely.
It's funny, the wrestlers, it wasn't so much comedy and stuff, it's the ribs that we pulled on each other. They were so bad, man. I mean, what we consider funny, most people want to fight over.
Yeah.
It's just, that's boys being boys, man. But I'm going to blow it out when I get up there, man. We're going to have a great time doing this thing, and I guarantee you won't be upset when you leave, and I just want everybody to have a good time, and be sure and bring your memorabilia. I'll be glad to, sign all that stuff up, and we bring some merchandise for the people to pick up, too, and we do appreciate when you buy it, because it does help pay the bills.
Yeah, definitely.
And guys are really going to enjoy Alex Anzo. He is awesome, man. He is awesome. Plus, he's lost 140 pounds now. And he lost 100 pounds in 100 days.
Wow, that's great.
That's unbelievable. Doing, juicing and stuff. And if you contact him, he'll give you all of his recipes, and he's glad to help you along your way, man. Because, we just got to remember that for anything, whether it be alcohol, drugs, or food, or sex, or whatever, when you want to get something done, it takes more than one person to do it, man.
Sure.
It takes a commitment, but, we all need to start pulling together and helping each other out. And when people see the film that we did, The Resurrection, man, I just like for people to really take a hard look at what Dallas did. I mean, this guy invited 2 well-documented drunks, addicts into his home. Really? Are you nuts or what?
Yeah.
And, there were some tight moments and some moments I thought, well, we're going to go at it this time. But we did all survive. And, but to help somebody as bad as we were, it's just, it amazes me. And, I think if we all sit back and think about it, I challenge all your listeners, man, that, if you think about it, I guarantee you know somebody from either your past or from your family or from down the road or high school or whatever that's having a tough time. You probably ignore them. You probably run from them. You probably don't answer the phone. Oh, God, here they call again. I don't need this drama. We all avoid it.
Yep.
Because it does take work to deal with a drug or an addict. And you just need to think about it, man, because if you don't pick up that phone, it might be the last person who gets a chance to talk to the guy.
Definitely.
So,
well,
how about we all start pulling together instead of pushing each other apart, man?
Definitely. Great words to live by, Jake. We can't wait to see you on November 13th. Maybe anybody that's sitting on the fence, who's like, I didn't buy tickets yet. Anything we could say, one last thing we could say to them to get the tickets and come out to see you?
Well, I'll tell the whole story about Andre sitting on me and farting for 40 seconds. How's that? I'll tell the whole story.
Well, there you go.
Pretty crappy story. Yeah, yeah, I did that. Yeah. Get your butts out there. If you don't, I'll send a snake to your house. How's that?
Perfect. Well, Jake, thank you once again. For everybody who wants tickets, head on over to laughitup.net for more information. We'll see you on November 13th. Thanks again. All right, AWP fans, listen up.
Yeah, we're talking to you.
We are a listener-supported podcast.
The show is created by wrestling fans for wrestling fans.
Each week we bring to you one-of-a-kind interviews with pro wrestling's greatest superstars from yesterday and today.
We do this at no cost to you, the fans. Here are a few ways where you can support us and give us our love.
It's very simple. Rate us and review us. Go over to iTunes or Stitcher, Player FM, TuneIn, whatever it is. Just tell all your friends about it.
Follow us on all that social media stuff. Whatever you kids are doing these days. You can give us a like, follow us, a poke, a point, a German suplex if you're Brock Lesnar, whatever you want.
Lastly, if you are an ultimate AWP fan, head on over to ProWrestlingTees.com/Another Wrestling Podcast and purchase an official AWP shirt. There's more than one.
Today's show is brought to you by...
This is your Olympic hero, Kurt Angle, and you're listening to Another Wrestling Podcast in association with Celeb VM. Order a personal video message from me and many other wrestlers and celebrities now. Oh, it's true. It's damn true.
Get a personal video message for yourself or as a gift for someone else. For personal connections, shout-outs, birthdays, proposals, weddings, and much more. Enter your details about yourself so the celebrity can record a personal video message, especially for you, including details such as your name, age, birthday, hobbies, or whatever else you include. As soon as the video has been recorded, you'll get an email with your link so you can share it on social media or download and keep it. Celebrities record videos as and when they can, usually within 2 weeks. But if you want a video for a specific date and it does not look like it will arrive in time, you can cancel it and get an instant refund at the click of a button. There are hundreds of celebrities to choose from and many more joining every day. Search by category or genre. Buy a gift voucher, get updates and offers, and encourage your favorite celebrities to join so they can connect with fans in a fun and unique way. Raise money for their charities and much more. So order your video now for yourself or for someone else.
All right, Credo, let's get a little topical. Let's talk how the hell are we going to make wrestling great again?
Well, that's right. Every week, all you marks out there are online, whether you're on Facebook.com/group/ProWrestlingMarks. Cheap plug. Anywhere on Facebook, Twitter, whatnot, the marks have something to say, Cooter. They love to nitpick. They love to bash a product, maybe because it's just not the way they want it. So maybe we could figure out what they don't want and what we could do to change that. So, let's get on that bandwagon. Let's make wrestling great again. Maybe I'll throw out some problems, see if you have a solution, or vice versa. Let's just get right into it, though. First and foremost, talk about the cream of the crop, WWE, too many shows. Raw, 3 hours. And if you're watching the after the show, or no, the pre-show, then after the show, that's what, another hour? So it's like 4 hours, almost 4.5 hours a night. Then you go Tuesday, you got Smackdown, 2 hours. Then with that new show coming up, that's another hour after that with the Cruiserweights. Then you're going to have that Talking Smack after that. So it's like another 4 hour night, give or take, depending on the pre-show or whatnot. So that's 4 hours. 4 hours I'm going to round it to. Wednesday, you got NXT, which is an hour. Then maybe if Lucha Underground is on, you're watching that for an hour. Then, there's so much stuff going on a week. Then if you're an Impact Wrestling fan, that's another 2 hours.
Those kind of people still exist?
Yeah, and we don't talk about them much, but they're out there. Then even Ring of Honor, Main Event or Superstar is still with WWE. There's so much wrestling a week, Hooter. Is it just too much? How could we fix this?
All right, a couple of my solutions, and this is only in terms of the WWE fans. So I'm going to leave all the indies and stuff out there because most people aren't watching TNA every week. They might check in here and there, or even with Ring of Honor. Most people who watch Lucha Underground are watching it every week, but it has its demo, and if you like it, you like it. If not, it's not your thing. I agree with you. The shows are way too long. So Raw is 3 hours. I think that's a little bit too much. I think that it's great that if we just made it 2.5 hours, because realistically, it's more like 3 hours, 15 minutes with the overrun.
Yeah.
So if we made Raw 2.5 hours and then added a half hour to SmackDown and made that 2.5 hours, you wouldn't even need Live 205. And the reason for that is I would say, let's make the women's division, the whole women's division, exclusive to one brand, and the Cruiserweight division exclusive to the other brand. Mm-hmm. This way, with that extra half an hour, all right, let's look at Raw. Raw typically has 2 Cruiserweight matches a night and 2 women's matches a night. Usually. If we made it exclusive, one of those divisions, we can add a third match. Maybe we can have that tag match that everybody hates, but we can still have, the segment that revolves around the title, and then another segment that's building up a contender. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, sure. So at least split some of the divisions around and make it, more centered on each show. And what would you say too? Because like right now, Raw is still 3 hours and SmackDown's 2 hours. Is the third hour too much? Do we just need 2 hours? I love watching NXT because it's an hour. Wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. I don't need to sit there for 3 hours of my life watching it. Is it just killing creative with that third hour?
That's why I love the Hulu version so much, because it's literally just the matches. Raw gets cut from 3 hours plus to, the best of. We cut out all the ring entrances. We cut out all the commercials. It's literally an hour and a half. Mm-hmm. So, here's the other thing. I think it's the repetition of having all the shows in a row. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Yeah. What if we put Raw on Monday, left NXT on Wednesday, and move SmackDown to Friday? I know that sucks because, especially for us, since we like to record middle of the week. But do you understand what I'm saying? If it was spread out for the fan and not the podcast,
yeah, you get like another day in between, a little break.
Yeah, exactly. You get a little bit of a break. And the last thing to make these shows great again is we, not just for the women's division, not just for the Cruiserweight divisions, but IC and US titles. Look at Roman Reigns. He's not even really defending that title. I know he just had the match against Rusev, but now we got him in, the Survivor Series matchup. We don't have him. The other head champions, your top guys, already know what their matches are going to be for their next pay-per-views. Not Roman. Yeah. He's talking about challenging for the Universal title. So we need to start building contenders outside of the title picture.
Definitely.
For all the divisions.
Sure. All right. So we'll cut down the shows a little bit, get some more things in line as far as the titles go. All right. So with all that said, is there too much script involved with some of these promos and not enough improv? I know in this day and age with media, you kind of have to know what they're going to say before they go out there, so they don't, say something really bad that'll get the company in trouble, blah, blah, blah. But it's like, come on, you got to have some trust in these guys. This is what they want to do. You can give them bullet points like, hey, you got to talk about this. Then you talk about the match that week, and then give them like a little bit of a guideline. But I remember so many times where Randy Orton would mess up. He even asked guys on live TV what his line was, because it's like these guys are trying to remember like a paragraph or just something to where it's like word for word. It's like just let them go out and shoot. Give them like a few bullet points of what you want said, and let them do it. Like I think when it's
not only that, some of those segments just seem to drag on and on.
Get to the point. Yeah.
Oh, God. Fast forward, motherfucker, please.
So making wrestling great again. We're going to cut down some of the shows, organize some of the championships and the divisions on the show. Maybe I think the best thing is just to let the guys cut their own promos. You got to have some trust in them. You're paying them a lot of money. If they fuck up, then you don't put them on TV, and then they don't do it anymore. And, you give them like you have a wellness policy violation. Have a policy for, messing up promos to where if like you messed up and said something really bad, you're fired. Or, it comes with the territory, but these guys need to go out there and learn, just know how to, just do a promo without having to memorize a 3-page script,
Yeah, we don't need another Kobe Bryant rape joke live on Raw. What was that? Was that the Primetime Players
match? That was Abraham Washington.
Yes! My God, it was too much!
And that's it. No matter what do you think, whatever he did in his career, that's the only thing I'll remember him for, like at the very end of it.
Kobe Bryant rape joke live on Raw. Fantastic.
Make wrestling great again with more Kobe Bryant rape jokes. All right, so we're narrowing some things down to make wrestling great again. But how about competition? WCW really put WWE on their game, especially during the Monday Night the Wars. Is that missing today? Without that competition, I mean, now you have the brand split, so they're competing against themselves, which is like, well, come on, you can't really, you know what I mean? You can't really compete against yourself, but. If TNA was bigger, you could say maybe Ring of Honor, but that's still just, they have like a little, production deal. But do you think like having some other company, some other promotion come in with that kind of money to really go head to head with them, would that make wrestling great again?
Yes and no. I mean, at the end of the day, those guys, for whatever company might be creative, are just going to end up being poached by WWE anyway.
Yeah.
Unless, because it's the end-all, be-all. It doesn't matter how much money somebody throws at you. Sometimes you just want to win the championship. I mean, sometimes you take a pay cut to play for a good team. You know what I mean? So anybody who gets in that business wants to be WWE champion. It's just the way it is. So I don't know if that would make it great in terms of content, because at this point, hey, WWE has its own network. It's a total different animal than what it was during the Attitude Era.
No, yeah, for sure.
They just have so much, and they're so outside of what they used to be. They wouldn't even pay attention if they were getting killed in their ratings, as long as, hey, our subscriptions are doing okay, people are watching. Our sponsors are getting paid, are happy. Who gives a shit?
Definitely. And, I think in our lifetime, though, I think we will see competition coming up. I think you're going to get this, this rich mark that just won the lottery is going to be like, screw it, I'm going to buy my own promotion. And like I'm saying, this guy has nothing else to do with his money except for buy like a wrestling promotion and just make it his own. I think we'll see some kind of competition in our lifetime, because that's the thing, WWE is such a machine. It's like you really can't compete with them. But you'll also have a lot of wrestlers out there who either A, used to be in WWE or other companies that are still kind of names that they could put on the show that people want to see, and just give them a different product. But I mean, when, where, who, we'll see what happens. But I think a little bit of competition might make it great again, just to keep people on edge to where they don't have to use the shining stars and their, their little pamphlets for timeshares. You know what I mean? Like, you're not going to get that crap on when there's competition. So you're going to get a lot better wrestling. So we'll see. Making wrestling great again will give maybe just a little bit of competition from somebody. Now another thing, back in the day there was territories. The territories of wrestling where Vince pretty much bought them all up and made WWE. Now, there aren't really territories, but there's still a lot of independent wrestling going on, more than there ever has been. Whether you're on East Coast or West Coast, we're so lucky here in the Northeast, especially, companies like Northeast Wrestling, a lot of companies over in Rhode Island and stuff. There's so much companies out here, that independent scenes, to where, okay, hey, WWE doesn't roll into town every week or every month, I should say. It's like a once a year kind of thing in our area. And okay, you still want to go see wrestling, so they, like Northeast Wrestling, they have a show every month, and that's great because it's, you don't get to see WWE live every month, and to have like an independent, the indie scene, is that kind of like making wrestling great again? Is there anything we could do with the indie scene to, I don't know, make it better? I don't know. I think it's really great up here in the Northeast. I know we're really spoiled, but for a lot of other states out there, people living throughout the country or across the globe, they don't really get this all the time. So it's usually, once in a while, once every few years some places.
Yeah, well, it's a shame. It's where a lot of our stars come from. WWE, and it's so sad because you get those marks out there who always, that little indie darling, the indie darling, and I just want to, punch them in the face with a roll of quarters. I'm serious. It's just like, you do realize, unless you were starting out in the WWE training center, you were an indie darling. You came from the indies. Everybody's a fucking indie darling. So everybody just needs to sit down, watch the wrestling, enjoy it for what it is.
But how about this? So how about this? Making wrestling great again in the indie scene now. Do you think, like, let's say WWE should send some guys out to the indies to where Heath Slater and whatever guys like that, the B Squad, some of the guys, Goldust, R-Truth, can you give them the opportunity to wrestle on indie shows, kind of like what TNA does, to where these guys can do independent dates, Ring of Honor guys too, they can go out, do independent dates, and work with like TNA, but to the fact to where maybe WWE can let some of their B Squad, like, hey, you can work a Northeast Wrestling show this week, but you're also still on WWE TV. Do you think that might help some of with the indie scene, to where, hey, these guys are on WWE, and they kind of, like, almost some of these NXT guys, like, I know James Ellsworth, God, we got to go back to that, he's still doing independent dates, so they're only using him sporadically on live TV, and I don't know. Do you think doing that might be a good idea to make wrestling great again? Allowing, like, some of these. Obviously, you're not going to let Randy Orton or your John Cena's go out and do like an indie show, but this way, like at an indie show, like, oh, you have this WWE guy going there. You might get some more fans out to the show. And like I said, it's going to be a B Squad person, but I don't know. Do you think that might help make wrestling great again? Just being able to let their talent do some of these indie dates to where they know they're not going to use them as much on TV?
I don't know, because especially some of the guys you're talking about using, like your B Squad guys. I mean, is anybody really going to pay to see a Braun Strowman at an indie? Nobody gives a shit. You know what I mean? The only plus side to that is, because WWE isn't going to be watching. And I always wonder when I see a guy who's, recently released from a contract from WWE, and you see them at these indie shows, and especially if they leave on good terms, you wonder if they're scouting, Yeah. Like classic example was when we would see Jerry Lawler at the Northeast Wrestling shows a lot. And it makes you wonder if he talks to Vince about some of the guys' matches that he may have seen, or a certain guy that he has worked with. You know what I mean? If it wasn't like a special attraction, like, all right, it's not like the time where he fought Terry Funk in a no-holds-barred match. It's not, hey, Vince, I just fought this really great guy at a no-DQ match. His name is Terry Funk. No, every once in a while you'd see him against a younger guy or an up-and-comer, and I always wondered that myself. So, I mean, maybe as a scout to maybe say, hey, you know what, these guys are pretty good. Maybe you might want to give them a shot at, or a tryout in NXT. I mean, I wouldn't see it as a beneficial to the indie company itself as much as I would for WWE, because, have your eyes everywhere. You never know where you're going to find your next star.
What a week talking to Jake the Snake Roberts. We'll be there once again this Sunday it's actually in Mahoney's Irish Pub and Steakhouse. It's in Poughkeepsie, New York. There's a Laugh It Up comedy club that's right inside Mahoney's. So if you guys head on over to laughitup.net, you can find out more information about Jake the Snake Roberts' one-man show this weekend. He's going to be doing comedy and road stories. I can't wait for it. I'm excited. Are you excited?
I'm always excited. Oh, hey, Credo.
Yeah.
You remember earlier I said the whole Trump thing was like the yes movement?
Yeah.
Look at this cast of characters, right? Donald Trump is Daniel Bryan. Hillary is Stephanie McMahon. Bill Clinton is Triple H. And Monica Lewinsky was Katie Vick.
Now that needs to be brought to the network as like a network exclusive show, I guess. I don't know.
I'm awesome. What can I tell you?